Coming up on Truck Dog Road. The drone takes flight as we show you how we capture some of those sweeping aerial shots. We get creative with the field fix to mount our new generator, and wrestle with the challenge of running the air conditioner off of our current electrical system. Stick around, because it all wraps up with a well-earned meal right by the fire.
That water, it's just like glass, man. Wow. It is so pretty here. So what I'm trying to do to get this shot now is just kind of moving forward. I've noticed that I don't really like the cinematic mode. The cinematic mode kind of like slows the shots down. I like it for some stuff, but like what I'm doing now, I think I prefer just to control it in normal mode, because I actually like the speed just slightly. I could still see it, by the way. I like it just a little more speedy than what the cinematic offers. See if we can get a better shot by going higher. Ooh, that's a neat shot right there. I try not to get the homes in there, but I really like the just like kind of going forward shots. Let's see if we could go a little higher. So our limit, our legal limit, is 400 feet, but I set my limit to about 388 just so I could be a little under that. So we're about 360 here. Look at how clean this place is. So this is the camp that we're at. I mean, this place is clean, super well maintained. That's us right there, and that's the road we came in on, right over there. Look how well maintained this place is. Freaking stellar, man. Yeah, I'm not seeing any wildlife here. Probably get a recording of that. I kind of like the kind of like going sideways footage where you just kind of follow the tree line. Ooh, I like that. Get kind of like a spin. Let's go slower. Ooh, that's cool. See kind of like a reef looking thing there in the water. I think it might need a filter, honestly. It's so freaking bright out. Get some turning in. Try to turn with the river so it looks a little more natural. And here's our spot right there. Look how clean that looks. This spot's pretty great, guys. They take such good care of it. It is crazy. So next, now that you've had kind of a glimpse into how I get some of the drone footage, you'll be able to see post-editing and what it looks like when it all comes together. Okay, check it out. I think this is what we're gonna do. Spare gas can will go behind there. Still leaves room underneath the stairs. May even be able to still fit the stairs there. Got the generator on the side. What I like about this way is I can still pull it from this direction. The exhaust goes this way. And the cables that I can plug into will go here and then run inside the bed to the front of the camper. So I like this setup. The only thing I hate is that I can't use the box as a step anymore to get up the ladder, so I might have to buy like a little stool or something, or just use the corner. This is what I'm going to do with the box over here. If you look, It almost wants to fit here, but the problem is this cargo carrier I have has a lip, which I like the lip because like you can tie stuff down to it and things, but it's not serving our purposes here, and this box doesn't have to hold a whole lot. So I happen to have recently bought a grinder. So what we can do is grind this wall off because there's a support underneath, so it's not gonna affect too much of the structural integrity of the thing. And you know, I might even be able to bend, I don't know if I'll be able to bend that. That's pretty hard steel. I think I'll just cut it for now. But I'm gonna cut about there to about there, that chunk of wall off. Then this can sit flush and it won't be supported all the way underneath, but then I can use those U-bolts to tie us in here, just like they did on the other ones. And that will allow it to sit flush so the door can still open and I can still open that. And we'll use significantly more real estate on this side of the camper as well. And I mean, again, it's not holding a lot of weight. It's very light. It's just a box to keep the smell away for the sewage pipes and all that stuff. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is just kind of roughly mark, because we don't have to take the whole thing away. And I don't have a pen, this is just what I have, so I was lucky I even had this. So we're gonna go ahead and get this installed. The way you do this is there's two little wheels there. Put on your grinding wheel, so make sure it's the correct size. Put that on. Take this wrench, and there's a button here that locks it, that keeps it from spinning, and then you tighten it down. And also, you should do that with no battery in it. So. I might be able to bend it with some leverage. The tricky part is that I can't cut the welds. I've already broken some trying to bend it, but I can't cut the wire mesh, so I have to cut just a little bit high. So I'm going to start there, and then we can always level it down. Loud. So now I'll let that cool down before we do a test fit, because you know, plastic melts. Oh, it needs to be a little bigger. Not too shabby, I might say, not too shabby. Plenty of room for the stairs. That can still open up. It's as far forward as it can go. And depending on how this latches down, when we leave, I may put another latch on it, and next time we're at Home Depot, we'll get some more U-bolts. So yeah, I think that's gonna work. For now, I'm gonna try to use the existing holes, but I don't mind poking more holes in it if we need to. We ran out of threads here, and it's still loose. I'm wondering, and that's because I'm an idiot, on these ones that I had them bolted down to, see there's this bar. So I might have some, dang, I didn't bring any washers with me. So if you guys are ever in a pickle and you need something just to work temporary, that's how you can make a spacer. Make sure it's temporary, guys. I've seen people that like ride their whole life on this. Yeah, see, that's why we'll have to have a few more on this side that will just connect to the grate. But no big deal. We can pick up the correct hardware. For that, we'll probably just do a bolt and some washers. But for now, we can do this trick. And then when we leave, we'll also put a tie down around it just to keep it from rocking off. Look at that. That works out pretty well. When we get home, I can weld some pieces under there too. But for now, this is perfect. This works really well. Very happy with this.
This little bee, little tiny guy's absolutely obsessed with me. He keeps landing on me after I shoo him away. Like, dude, I'm not a flower. Is that even a bee? That is the strangest looking bee ever. Doesn't look like he has a stinger. Actually, he does. Can you not bite me, please? You can't. Well, can you just leave me alone? Good God. Maybe they're trying to adopt me as their queen. And then I'll have a whole bee army. And with this bee army, we will take over the world. Yes. He found me again. I went inside, got a drink, been gone for a few minutes, and look, he found me again. I think for a little project today, since we got a good spot for these, is that I really want to get a spot to be able to run the extension cord inside the camper without just like running it through the door, because that's messy. Now, once we get back to our home base and we start doing majority of projects, I think I talked about this a little bit, we'll be putting in a ground plug, probably somewhere in this area or potentially a little further in here, and that will just make it a lot cleaner. But for now, I need to be able to run that cable into the camper so that it's not in the way. And I happen to have a vent right here that leads directly into the battery compartment, and it's sealed, so we'll have to break that seal. But the hard part here is that I want to be able to do this without removing the camper, because moving the camper is a lot of work, especially when you're by yourself. So top two screws are not going to be difficult. The hard part is going to be trying to figure out how to unscrew those bottom ones. But I've got this cool little kit that I was showing off earlier that does happen to have this little bendy guy. As long as they're not on too tight, this little bendy guy might be able to reach in there. Should take care of it. So let's give it a shot. So, oh no, I am not going to be able to reach that. It doesn't have to go up very much, so I guess that's good. Just enough for me to clear those screws. So a little more. Oh, the stairs. I might need to go up more still. Oh no, is it a Torx bit? That's not good. Actually, no, I think I just have there's just a lot of gunk in there. So I think I'm gonna need a really wide one of these. Every now and then it catches. The problem is, guys, there's a sealant, like kind of like a silicone that they use to seal this so that water won't get in. But it's in the screws. I might be able to show you once I get this one out to see if we can get rid of any of that gunk that's in there. Yeah, that's helping. This one feels like it's stripped. Nope, she's stripped out for sure. I'm really trying not to break this. See? That's what it looks like. You see how there's a wood paneling in here? So we're gonna do our best to protect that in the meantime. And the extension cord will fit just through here. So if I had known it was two pieces, I probably would have prevented trying to break the seal, but that's okay. This. We're going to plug these guys in together, just like that. And then we have another cable that we have to fish through when we put all of this back. It's time for a celebratory dunk, I think. So now we can charge this with not too many messy cables. And we can do it while we're in the store. Kirk, let's go take a dunk, buddy. Step, step, step. Look how clear that water is. Come on, buddy. Oh, that is freezing. And this current absolutely rips. I don't go very deep.
right here, you can feel this current just absolutely just ripping. Oh my God, that's so cold, it hurts. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the current's pulling me out. Okay, so now that we have the generator more or less hooked up the way we want it, I want to do an experiment. I need to be able to ensure that it's going to work the way I want it to work, and it's so freaking hot out right now, I say hell with it, let's try it. So right now it's 85 degrees. That is with that fan going low and that fan going low, and pretty much every window that I have here open. So let's start closing these windows, turning off the fans. Let's close this guy down. We're at 100% there. We're at 100%, well, 98%, but you know, basically 100% on both batteries. Let's go ahead and crank this AC. We can see how much energy we're pulling here. 1100 watts right now. So I'm gonna leave it on the low setting. I'm going to let it cool down. I'm not gonna start the generator right away. And then, because we're currently, I want the solar to activate, so right now I won't be pulling any solar because the battery's full, but as we deplete it a little bit, then it'll start pulling solar, and then I'll start the generator, and I'll probably only run it at like 800 to 900 watts to see how that works, because there's going to be a sweet spot here. Right now it's going to be pulling 1100 to 1300 watts, but it only does that for bursts. So in between the bursts, it jumps down to about 300 to 500 watts, which means that if we're charging at like 900 watts plus all the solar that we're getting, which is about another 300 watts, we should be charging the battery back up in between those bursts. But with how hot it is, I don't know how frequent or infrequent that's going to be. So what are we at now? Already at 96%. You saw it just a second ago. We're pulling 1200 watts. We're generating 253 watts of solar. So this is giving us about 138 watts. And right now we are only generating 90 watts, and that's because there's cloud coverage. So, and we're outputting 1.29 kilowatts, which is just a fancy way of saying 1,290 watts. Okay, now for startup sequence on this thing. On top of the gas cap, this turns the vent to on. Then we'll make sure that eco mode is off. I'm gonna unplug this because once it's running, we have to wait for that light to turn on before we can plug anything in. When it's cold, you put it on start choke, but since it's warmer than the devil out, I'm just gonna turn that to run start. And it says you should pull it really slow to prime it, but I think I'm just gonna give it a rip to see what happens. Yeah. Well, we might have to do the choke. All right. All right, that's choke. So it started. There it is. Not too hard. So right now we're gonna let it get warm, and then you have to wait for this little light. You see where this running watts says that it's green? When it's on, that means that it's okay to plug it in, but I'm gonna let it get warm first. All right, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. Kind of hear it sputter. So now let's see what we're generating. It says 305 watts. We should be getting something right now. Why did my AC power turn off? Okay, so this is new. We're gonna have to figure this out. X boost is on. Let's see if the AC is still running. That's weird that the AC power just turned off. Huh. Now that is very strange. So we're gonna have to figure this out. So I'm glad we're experimenting with this. Our input is very high right now, so let's go AC charging speed. Let's go to like 700 watts. AC's back on. Now let's try turning it back on. Okay, so there might just be like a sequence here of things that I have to do first. So I gotta get the generator on first. It's gonna charge in like 13 minutes. Okay, so let's try putting it on Eco now, because we don't need it running this hot. Overload. Still says it's overloading. Wonder why. Turned off again. So we've got something weird happening where the EcoFlow, this might not work the way I want it to. The EcoFlow, excuse me Kirk, please move. Okay, so let's try this again. AC power on. Now I wonder if it's just getting too much input. So let's unplug the solar for now. Let's turn off this guy. So now let's see what happens if we turn on the AC. Okay. So this is not going to work. It looks like what the EcoFlow is trying to do, you see it's telling us overload. I think the EcoFlow is trying to bypass energy. Okay, so this changes a lot. That means I'm gonna have to figure out a way to physically switch the cables around, which kind of sucks, but there's a way to fix this. Okay, so that really sucks about the EcoFlow overloading. That really ruins a lot of what I was trying to do. Anyway, there's a quick solution fix for this while I research how to fix what might be going on. I might not be able to fix it. It might just be limitations of the battery. So let me undo this. What we're gonna do is take this whole cable out. So normally this is plugged into the EcoFlow, but instead we are going to plug it in right here, like that. And then we're gonna come back here, turn this off of Eco, plug this guy in, there we go. Reset that. Alright, so that's on. We're strictly running off of the generator now. So now we can try turning on the AC. And let's make sure it's not overloading. Which it's not. So basically what's going to happen if we run off of generator power is that I'm going to have to unplug that, plug it into from this guy to that guy, and then to charge the EcoFlow battery we're gonna have to use the converter here, which sucks because it really doesn't use much energy for this, and we're still gonna have to charge the EcoFlow battery from the DC to DC charger. So I need to do some research here because there has to be a better way of doing this. I don't know why the EcoFlow is overloading. I guess it's possible that maybe we were demanding too many watts. No, we couldn't have, because we can track that. I don't know, it's weird. It's like the EcoFlow either can't handle putting out that much energy as well as receiving it, or I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it can't handle that amount of wattage, charging it and depleting it at the same time, and that's why it's overloading. I don't know. You know what? It could be because we're the AC converter I wonder if the AC converter on here does both charge it and deplete it. If that's the case, we'll have to figure out how to, there's a DC port on this generator. We might be able to charge it strictly DC, and that would fix a lot of it. But we have to have a special cable for that. DC, 8 amps max though, so that's not a lot of energy. That's not a ton of juice. So it'll still work to keep the dog comfortable, but what sucks is that I won't be able to monitor it remotely like I wanted to. So that's a bummer. We might try experimenting later with lowering the amperage that this thing is delivering and see if it can deliver the AC power from that. We need to see what max AC output is on this. It should say here somewhere. Max AC output is about 2,400 watts total. So that means that if this thing is giving off 15, that's more than enough. 2,400 watts. This should have been okay. 2,400 watts total is max AC output. So if we're only giving 1,000 out of that, and this thing's putting out 1,400, we should have been perfectly fine. That doesn't make any sense. I need to think about this a little more. The EcoFlow is not behaving as it should. Ideally, the generator would charge this, and it would be able to withstand the AC output of running the air conditioning. Now, if we don't run the air conditioner, it works as it should. The generator's charging this and it's powering all the little devices, but as soon as the AC kicks on, it sends an overload signal and it turns off the AC. So it's definitely a software problem, because it can handle it. So that kind of sucks. I'm gonna have to talk with their customer support and see what we can do. For right now, all we have to do is we take this plug that goes to the generator, and we just plug it into this plug in the back that goes to the EcoFlow battery, and the generator powers it. So we're still okay with being able to run the AC for however long we need to while the dog is comfortably in here. My problem is that there was a certain safety aspect of having the AC run off the EcoFlow battery, because I can monitor it remotely, and if for whatever reason, if the generator were to stop working, runs out of gas, turns it off, whatever, the EcoFlow would still power it, and I could still monitor it, and that would give me enough of a window to get back and get everything figured out and switched around. So for now, we're not in any trouble. This thing can still charge the air conditioner even without the generator. It's for like 2 or 3 hours, and now that we have the generator, we can really crank on this thing with the RV battery, and we could deplete it if we need to, because now we don't have to worry about not being able to charge everything up since we have the generator. So when we get to our camp, we could turn it on eco mode for an hour and it would charge everything up and we're good. But this thing should work. I feel like it's a software issue, because even if the AC converter is the same, so when you plug it into a wall, it's using the AC converter. When we're outputting stuff to the air conditioner, we're using the AC converter. Even if it's the same converter, it maxes at 2,400 watts. This thing maxes at 1,400 to 1,500 watts, which means we still have another 1,400, or we have another 1,200 watts-ish of additional voltage, additional watts that we could be putting in. So it's not maxed out. There's definitely some left. I don't know, something's weird. I even tried lowering it, so I put the charge level at 400 watts and the AC was maxing out at 1,400 watts. So that's only 1,800 watts out of the 2,400 watts. Like, this thing shouldn't be overloading the way it is. And it works one way or the other. The AC can power it, the generator can power the AC on its own, the battery can power the AC on its own. The generator can charge the battery, no problem. But as soon as you try to do both things at the same time, it overloads. So I feel like it's a software issue. And it could be because of the surge that happens with both, but something just doesn't feel right. It should be able to do this. So I'm gonna contact their customer support to see what the hell's going on. It might need to be an update on their end, but it should be able to do what we're trying to do. It does it if the AC is turned off. This powers all of the components in the camper while it's being charged by the generator. It's just once the air conditioning surges on, it overloads and kicks off all the AC power. So I thought this was going to be a lot easier. It's still doing some of what we wanted it to. So when I run into the grocery store or whatever, you know, the plan doesn't change. We're still golden, but it just adds an additional layer of complexity. It smells like gas in here though. Ugh. I need to flip that valve. That's what I forgot to do. That's why it smells like fuel. See this guy? This will keep it from stinking. All done? Just got the standard Montreal seasoning because it's a classic and it's always good. On the menu today is some butterfly chops. Okay, so I know this is gonna sound weird, but anytime I'm doing barbecue pork, I like to put a base down, and a base is usually just a mustard that you would rub on here before putting a dry rub. Now I'm not doing a dry rub either, I'm just doing this cheap Montreal seasoning, but I am still cooking pork. And my special seasoning that I like to put on these happens to be Chick-fil-A sauce. So you just drizzle it on there, you wipe it down. I mostly do this on ribs, but I like to do it on pork chops every now and then. Just gives it a little extra. Normally you do this with a dry rub, but I don't feel like doing a dry rub today. I feel like doing this. You like your treat, Kirky? I gave him a chew. You haven't tried that brand before. Alright, fire's going pretty good. Starting to feel that heat. We're gonna let that grate get super warm. Did you eat all of your chew? Hmm? You did? I was looking at the weather here and this is crazy. So today's low was 50, today's high was 87. We actually reached 90 according to the thermometer in the camper. But look at tomorrow, 49 and 67. That explains where all this wind is coming from. We got a little mini cold front moving in. So cooking on these is a lot like cooking on a cast iron. Do a stick check. If you pull on it a little bit and it's stuck to the grate, it's not ready to be flipped yet. If you leave it alone, instead of tearing it up and leaving a bunch of meat behind, it'll start to caramelize that side. Then you can flip them around, do the same thing, and when they don't stick to both sides, you can do it until you're ready. Tell him, Kirk. When do we flip it? Yeah, that's right, when you're not stuck. You heard him, folks. You heard him. Sponsor me, Coors. Please. We need the money. Alright, they've been on here for a little bit, and time to do a stick check. You can see the fat dripping down, which is really what we want. That's pretty good. So we just kind of lift, and look at that. They're not stuck no more. Oh yeah, buddy. Not burnt. That's the thing. Oh yeah, that's good. What we're gonna do now is add just a splash of beer on top. That'll help it from drying out. Not too bad. Came out pretty good.
Are you happy? Are you happy with your dinner? Was that good? Yeah? Look at that smile. Yeah, he likes his pork chops. You like your pork chops? I figured you liked your pork chops. Look at that tail. Look at that tail. He likes his pork chops. Want to give the people a kiss? Thanks.